life was never ever designed to be one dimensional, but multiple dimensions. And so you always should have an exit strategy in life. And so I am one that I study the greats because I believe that better is always available. It is. But here's the thing. So many people get stuck in complacency that they don't go after better. And so I study the greats, right? I see what the greats are doing. And so to me, greats are simply people that have come and demolished the system. They're people that live an unconventional life. And so for me, that is a Oprah Winfrey, right? That is a Steve Harvey, right? That is Jesus Christ. How about that? Let's give it up for Jesus in that matter, because he also had an exit strategy. He knew that when he entered this earth that he would exit on our behalf, right? And so with Oprah Winfrey, she too has several exit strategies. But so many people live their life in a one dimension every single day of their life. And so I even look at buildings, right? Even buildings have exit strategies. If you look around in the building that you're in right now, if you're not in your home, but in the building, you will see points of exit, right? Why is that? Because you always you always need to know where to enter and where to exit. The same is so with your life. And so you have exit strategies for a building, but not for you. What's up with that? What's up with that? What's your exit strategy for you? And so a lot of times people will limit exiting to something negative. Exiting is very positive. You should always know where you're going. You should always know how long you're going to be there and then what's next. And so as I mentioned earlier, that Oprah Winfrey has exit strategies. If you look over her life, you'll see that she's always had a strategy to exit, right? She went from from being on the news, going into her own talk show, to then owning her own network. That's exit strategy, guys. So what is your exit strategy? Do you have an exit strategy for your life? Or are you just going about your life, allowing it to exit whenever it will? What is your exit strategy? Because we can't continue just to do life. You got to have an exit strategy for every dimension, because your life is not just one dimension. It's several dimensions. And so it's just like having a baby. Babies are a great example that we all can understand the process of growing, the process of exiting, right? They go from being an infant to a toddler, to a teen, to a young adult, to an adult, right? And so there's a strategy for them. They go into kindergarten, they go into first grade, second grade, sixth grade, ninth grade. That's strategy, guys. And so why is it that once we grow up in ourselves that we stop preparing an exit strategy for us? I had a client on yesterday, and God just laid it on my heart to ask her, what's your plan, right? She's prior military. She's in the government. She got about 4 more years before she retired from the government, because I'm always forward thinking, guys. I've been in 2020 years ago, so I'm now in 2022. And so I simply asked her, what's your plan? And so she was able to call off 4 things that her plan is. And so I thought that was absolutely amazing, because most people can't do that. And so she said, I have this dream going, this dream coming, and then she named 2 others, and then one that she's actually cultivating right now. And so I thought that was amazing, but it was 4. And I believe that at least we should have at least 7 different streams of income working on our behalf for the greater good. And so that's a part of exit strategy. So again, what is your exit strategy? What are you looking like 6 months from now? Right? What are you exiting? Because you should be in a place right now that you're preparing for the exit, whatever it is. You should know what that exit strategy is. So what's your exit strategy? I see a lot of you guys are on here, and I'm here, like I said, not just to talk to you, but to also bring you clarity, right? And so I want to help you. Here's an opportunity to have free help, the one-on-one, to speak to me to get clarity of where you are. And so like I mentioned before, one person said, well, what is exit strategy? And so what I just shared was exit strategy is you knowing where you're going, almost every step. Not exact, right? Because things will change and you'll have to course correct, but you need a plan. You need a blueprint. You should not just be going about your life. You should have an exit strategy. When I left corporate America in December of 2016, I had an exit strategy that I was working on for 3 years. I knew the very day that I would give my freedom notice. It wasn't a resignation because I wasn't going back. It was a freedom notice. It was for me to walk into my freedom. I knew that 3 years in advance. I had it ready. I had already typed it out and sent it, emailed it to myself, right? And so I began to walk in the strategy for me to exit. I began to put things in place to welcome my exit, because here's the thing. You just can't exit without a plan. That does not make great sense at all, right? In fact, it will bring you sorrow. And a lot of times people mix faith and sorrow together, thinking that that's God. If I wasn't going through something, then it wouldn't be God. No, ma'am. No, sir. That's not true, right? And so here's the thing. That God says that when he bless you, he adds no sorrow. So you shouldn't have sorrow. You need to have an exit strategy. You need to hear exactly what you're supposed to be doing and walking that process out, right? So what's your exit strategy? I want to hear from you guys to help bring you clarity, to even give you something to think about, because some of you guys on here, you probably don't have one and most people don't, or they have one and they're not clear about exactly what it is and what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it, right? Because here's the thing. The place that you're in right now is simply a part of the process. It's not your destination. It's a part of the process. It's for you to get from one level to another level, right? And so that's what for me, my job was. It was a dream funder, not just in funds, but in knowledge, in wisdom, in actually troubleshooting the whole gamut. What was a responsibility for me on somebody else's job is now a blessing to my business, right? So what is your exit strategy? You got to know that where you are right now is intentional, right? And be present in where you are right now. So many people go about their day and they're not present at all in their day. So what is your exit strategy? What's your exit strategy? What are you planning to do in 6 months to grow you to your next dimension? Are you okay with where you are with no exits? Right? That's like living in a house and not being able to get out, right? That's like living in a house with no doors and no windows, no way to exit. So you have to have an exit strategy for your own life. So what is that? As I mentioned earlier, all the greats have exit strategies. Oprah Winfrey has an exit strategy. Steve Harvey has an exit strategy. He went from being a stand-up comedian to a syndicated radio host to a syndicated television host, and then also the host on Family Feud. Come on. That strategy, guys. He just didn't wake up and it fell in his life. He positioned himself. So when opportunity came, he was ready. So what are you positioning yourself for? What does your exit look like? Because listen here, whatever you're doing, you're positioning yourself for something. And so what is that? Are you going to be ready when the opportunities present itself? Or are you going to regret that you're not ready? I'm going to say that again. That was good. I received that myself. Are you going to be ready when the opportunities present itself? Are you going to regret that you wasn't ready? No more regrets. One of the things that I tell my clients, one of the things that I say at my gym is no repeats in 2018. And that's across the board. What you did in 2017 may have been great, but it's not for 2018. So what are you doing to make your best now? Because here's the thing. What you do now is preparing you for your next. I hope you guys are not waking up and thinking that what you do now, you're reaping the benefits of now. It doesn't work like that. It's seed, time, and harvest. So what you do now is preparing you for your next. What does your next look like? What does your exit look like? Do you have an exit strategy? Who are the people that you're hanging around? Is it iron sharpening iron, or is it plastic trying to sharpen iron? That's a question. Who are you hanging around? Because the people that you hang around, you will become. And so a lot of times, a lot of my clients or my friends that I spend a lot of time with, they'll say that they begin to see me in them, right? And that's how it's supposed to be. But your version, you should never be copying anybody, because God made you great and you great alone. But you'll begin to become who you hang around, literally. And so you got to make sure you're hanging around iron sharpening iron. The people that you're around are challenging you to change for your absolute better. What does your exit look like? Do you have an exit strategy? If not, I need you to create one today, now, while you're on this live. Create it. What is your exit strategy? Right? Don't do life as usual. Doing life as usual is a thing of the past. What's your exit strategy, guys? I want to hear from you. I'm going to give you an opportunity before I jump off for you to tell me what your exit strategy is. And if you don't have one, that's fine. Tell me that, and I'll even help you in that, because you have to know what your exit strategy is. You got to know how you're going to get to your next, right? It's like you getting in your car, going somewhere that you've never been, and you don't use the GPS. You're just going to be riding around the Beltway. And so many people are riding around the Beltway in their life. They wake up in 2018, but they still in 2015 because they've been riding around with no exit strategy. They've just been going about their day, going about their life in autopilot, guys. It's time out for autopilot. God created you for more. You should always be going from one level of glory to another level of glory consistently. You should be able to look back at your life yesterday. Yes, yesterday, and see that you are better today, literally. And if you're not, you got to go back and course correct some things. You got to go back and change some things. And it's never, ever too late to change. It's never too late to make change, right? So who are you hanging around? Who are the people that are influencing you? What is it that they are doing that's attracting you to them, right? Because you have a responsibility in the matter of who you allow in your sphere of influence, right? So you got to go back and look at that. I remember when I was 100 pounds heavier, and when I came to myself, when I had this awakening, right? I went back to every one of my friends, because who I am is who I am, right? What you see is what you get, and that has been me all my life. I'm going to tell you the truth, and I expect you to tell me the truth, right? And so I went back to them after I had my awakening. I went back to them and I said, why didn't y'all tell me that I had let myself go? And here's the thing. They couldn't answer me. Why? Because we all look the same. We all were overweight. So who were they to tell me I was overweight? Because they were overweight. So we all was hanging together. We all were hanging out without comfort. And so you always need to be in the presence of people that are where you want to go. You always want to be pulled and pulling somebody. What does your exit strategy look like? Where you are today is not where you're going to be next month, next year, the next 2 years. What's your exit strategy, guys? I want to hear from you. You guys just come on here. Y'all just listen to me. But I want to hear from you. I want to give you some clarity, because I know that I am speaking to your spirit. I know that without a shadow of a doubt. I don't come on here just to come on here and talk. I come on here intentionally. When God says go, I go. And so I know that there are some people that need clarity about exiting, right? And so not just abruptly exiting, but a strategy to exit, a strategy to help you get to your next dimension, because you know that's where you're supposed to be. What is your exit strategy, guys? What's going to take you from the point A to point B? What's going to take you from where you are to where you want to be? What's your exit strategy? That's what's going to get you there. A plan. Make it clear. Make it simple. So those that read it, because you're the one that's going to read it, can run with it. It will remind you. I still have my exit strategy up. I update it on a consistent basis, because I know that where I am is just a process of where I'm going, right? I already know that I will not be a fitness coach, because I'm not an instructor. I am a coach. That's the difference. That's what sets me apart. I coach people to their next dimension at whatever level I encounter them, right? And so I know that I will not be a fitness coach the rest of my life. I know that, right? And so I'm in the process, right, of growing through that. So I'm in the process of my exit. right? And so, but you got to go through the exit. You got to know what it is to get to your next. What is your exit strategy, guys? What's your exit strategy? I talk to so many people and I'm always in coach mode. And sometimes I'm like, oh God, not today, God. But listen, when God says move, I move. I don't care where I am. If he say, listen, ask them this question, I'm going to ask him. And it's always breakthrough. There's always either a tear or silence because people don't know. Listen, I'm not here for people not knowing anymore. If you're in my presence, you will not stay the same. You will either elevate or you gonna exit. You will not stay the same when you're in my presence. I know that it's my responsibility to help people get to their next dimension. And so I'm always in coaching mode to help people, to give them those thought-provoking questions. Very simple, because a lot of times people talk in this language that you don't have a clue what the heck they talking about. And so I ask very simple but poignant questions to get your mind thinking, to begin to cultivate the seed that God has planted already on the inside of you. Because here's the thing, God never forgets seed sown, but you do. You do. You forget the seed that God sowed years ago when he told you to do X, Y, and Z. And then you got scared, didn't do it, and you thought that it was just going to go away. No, it's time to dig that seed up and give birth to it. What's your exit strategy? And you guys are not on here by coincidence. This is all intentional. This is God's plan. God is speaking to you to say, hey, pick that up. I'm not a man that I should lie. Neither am I the son of man that I should repent. He doesn't take back his gifts, guys. Get your gift and cultivate it. You do have a responsibility in it, because if not, you will, when that time comes, exit with all of that greatness on the inside of you, right? And so I love this Black Panther movie, because it gives people now a visual, right? Because so many people are visual, they got to see it. And so Black Panther give people this vision, and that's why everybody's like, it's Wakanda forever, because they got a vision. Like they could see it, they got it. What's your Wakanda forever moment? When are you going to embrace your Wakanda forever moment? When are you going to go to that place and see what all God has already planted on the inside of you? And most importantly, guys, there's people attached to your destiny. There's people attached to your going. And if you don't go, you're holding people up. People are waiting on your go. One of my clients that just lost a bunch of weight and trimmed down, and listen, she was a beast before she came to me. I attract people that wanted to go to the next dimension. She was a beast when she came to me. But listen, once she came to me and got these results, guess who all are coming? Her whole family is now coming behind her. Listen, I got to create wait lists. Because people are coming, because people are going. Did y'all hear that? People are coming because people are going. And so people are sitting, waiting. Her family knew that they needed to get their health in order. They needed to get their mindset in order. But it wasn't until she moved that the trigger was pulled. And so when are you going to pull the trigger for your family? When are you going to pull the trigger for your friends and people that are watching you? Because they're lurkers that are lurking, that are watching, that's inspired by your life. But until you move, until you release, they can't receive. Literally, there are people attached to your yes. And if you say no, you're held accountable for them. Point blank, period. If you say no, you're held accountable for them. So what's your exit strategy? What is your exit strategy? I talked to a young lady the other day. She says, I got a good job. It pays me well, but I don't like it. Why is that? It's because she's not cultivating the gifts. The job is not doing anything for the gifts that are on the inside of her. The job was a part of the process, and for a minute, she made it her destination. No more, guys. You got to create that exit strategy. We got to stop getting comfortable with comfort. And so, listen, guys, I want to make this very clear, because I think when I start talking about exit, people think I'm saying quit your job. I will never tell you to quit your job abruptly. Because I didn't. That would be foolish. That makes absolutely no sense. God is a God of order, right? And so you got to make sure that you do it in an orderly fashion. Even for me, I knew 3 years that I was going to write my freedom letter. And in that, I still gave them 60 days. Where they do that at? Where they do that at? They don't. But because God does things in decency and in order, I too do things and want to do things in decency and in order. And so you want to make sure that even while you're on that job that you don't like, that you are sowing great. Because here's the thing. You reap what you sow. I don't care where it is. And so I love that. I love that scripture because I sow well, I reap well, right? And so you want to make sure that even while you're on that job that you don't necessarily care for, that you sow well, that you are faithful over another man's vision so God can make sure that other people are faithful over you. When I say I have an amazing team, when I say that I have people that come and just sow into my businesses, that is reaping the harvest that I've already sown. In fact, I expect it because of the seeds that I've sown. So you got to create an exit strategy and follow it plan by plan by plan by plan, point by point by point by point. So what is your exit strategy, guys? I see some of you guys are chiming in. So let me take a second to respond to that and see if I can help you guys get some clarity if there are any questions. And so Kay-Ann said, that's me. And so I'm assuming that's you, that you need to create an exit strategy. Is that right, Kay-Ann? And then Charmaine says, Lord, if this isn't an on-time message. Yes, absolutely. God is intentional. God is strategic. He doesn't take shots in the dark, and neither do I. Listen, I have a plethora of things to do. But when God says move, I move just like that. And so God is very intentional. He's very strategic, and he loves us that much that he'll interrupt my day to share a word, to help lift you, to help inspire you, to confirm what you already know. Because like I said on the live yesterday, when somebody shares a word for you, it should always be confirmation and never revelation, right? It shouldn't be something new that you never heard of, because God is a God of order. He's not going to have a relationship with you, not tell you something, but then come share with me, and then I come tell you. It doesn't work like that. It should always be confirmation that God has given you, because that's how loving he is, to remind you of what he said, to remind you that no, I meant what I said, and I don't take back my gifts. I don't take back my callings. So I don't care what you've done, what you thought that you were no longer worthy of the ministry that God has placed on the inside of you. You are. He sent this word directly for you, and your ministry can be anything. It could be cleaning. It can be maintenance. It could be a CEO. It could be a plethora of things. Whatever your ministry is, God has blessed you and you alone to do it. So what's your exit strategy? What are you doing to get you to your next dimension? You guys are typing in comments so fast, I got to go back and scroll up. Thanks, Nikki. And then Trina says, my exit strategy is starting a business and creating multiple streams of income. Okay, Trina, I like that. But I need you to be a little more specific, because here's the thing. When we give vague goals, right? We get vague responses. And so you got to be very specific. What kind of business are you starting? When are you starting it? And what is going to be the streams of income? I need you to be very specific with that. I need you to begin to think about that and write it down. It's not just something that you can hold in your mind. I had a client that said, I don't like stickies all over the place. I said, oh, but you like open tabs in your head though, right? Because that's what it is. When you got all these amazing dreams and visions on the inside, it's like a computer with a whole bunch of open tabs. So you got to begin to write it down. You got to put it in your face so you can see it consistently, to remind you of what you said. Right now, my whole bathroom mirror is covered with where I'm going. It's covered with my exit strategy, right? Because I needed to remind me on a consistent basis what I said, what I came in agreement with God, what my covenant is with my word. And that's another thing, guys. You guys don't covenant with your words. You don't make covenants with your words. You will break your own word to you on a consistent basis, but you'll keep it to somebody else. No more of that, guys. You got to create covenant with your word. You got to marry your word. If you said you was going to do it for you, you need to do it. That plain and simple. Thank you. Thank you, Pamela, for speaking. We got some lurkers on here. We always have lurkers, and lurkers are simply people that just watch. They don't say hello. They don't say anything, right? And so if I'm saying anything that's blessing you, I need you to at least let me know or give me some hearts or share it or something. Give me some type of information that you're here. And so Kay-Ann said, watched it 4 times. I'm assuming the live one yesterday, you watched it 4 times. And Kiana says, yes. Hey, Key. And Tanika says, so need this while on the job. Yeah. And then Nikki says, I do too. Yeah. And so it's about creating that exit, guys. Literally, your brilliance was not birthed for somebody else, right? Your brilliance wasn't birthed for somebody else. Yes, they get the blessings of it, but they shouldn't get the whole thing. Your brilliance is for you and your legacy. Your brilliance is for you and your family. Your brilliance is for you and the people that you influence. But you can only do so much when you have competing affections. So you got to create exit. And so a lot of times people limit competing affections to a love, a romantic relationship. No, I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about a love for business, a love for job, and a love for the gifts and callings that God has given you, right? At some point, you can't have 2 masters, right? Because one of them is going to feel like you're giving more one attention than you are. And so you got to begin to create exit so they begin to complement each other and not compete. What is your exit strategy? What's your exit strategy, guys? Let me know what your exit strategy is. If you don't have one, let me know that too. Listen, Tasha, I don't have one. And so when I began to walk in my brilliance, right? When I began to receive the call that God had gave me, I would go into these conferences, these self-helps, because I'm always about educating, because I believe that better is always available. And the only way to get better is to go sit up under somebody that has what you want. It's simple. I don't know why people don't do it, but it's simple. And so I would always go to these conferences and I would be so quiet. Believe it or not, I would be so quiet. I didn't really like to kind of stand out in events like that. So I would be so quiet, have all these notes, right? And would never ask a question, only to get home and still be the same way. I was recycling information, had all these notes. I was hoarding all this stuff in my mind, but then I wasn't able to execute because I didn't know how. And so that's why any arena that I'm in, whether it's a Facebook Live, whether I'm speaking to millions, whether I'm in my studio, whether I'm in a meet and greet, I always give people opportunity to speak. In fact, one of my disclaimers is, if you don't volunteer, you'll be voluntold, because I don't want anybody ever to leave my presence stuck. I know how it feels. I wasted years of being stuck because I didn't want to ask a question. I wasted years of being stuck because I didn't want to stand up in a crowd or whatever the case may be. No. Listen, I'm making up for me and everybody else. Ask a question, get clarity, because that's the only way you're going to go, is that you get clarity on what it is that you need. So what's your exit? What does 2020 look like for you? It's only 2 years away, right? What does 2019 look like for you? We're only in the second quarter of 2018. What does that look like for you? What does it look like for you? Did you set specific goals for 2018? Do you create a year for your year? Right? Do you create a year for your year? What I mean by that is, do you give your year a name? A lot of people don't, or they'll go with what they church have. And I totally believe that. I totally believe in corporate blessings. At the same time, your household has blessings as well. And so for me, 2018 is the year of magnificent manifestations, right? And so that is for me, my household, and everybody that's connected to me. I already see magnificent manifestation in the lives of the people that are connected to me. That's not by happenstance. That's what I declare. That's what I expect. So, have you named your year? If you haven't, name it now. Because here's the thing, your year, your days will rise up to what you call it, right? And so, Teresa, I see you on here. Hey, dear, your name. When somebody says Teresa, you answer. Why? Because that's what you were named. The same is so with your life. If you don't name your life, then life will name you. and then you'll just go with whatever shows up. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I name my year. I declare my year. And so when things come up that is opposite of what I said, I send it back from whence it came. I don't accept that. I wasn't expecting you. But if you don't know, if you don't claim it, you just assume that, okay, that this is what this year is going to be. Absolutely not. Claim, name your year. What's your exit strategy, guys? And so Charmaine says, I don't have an exit strategy. This message is for me, and it's touching me in many areas. Absolutely. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And so Nikki says, I don't have one yet. I love it. That's exactly right, Nikki. Yes, that's exactly right. And so here's the thing. Being open and honest is liberty, right? Because that's where you can get freedom from. That's where you are met, is where you're open and you're honest. You gotta say, I don't know. And so none of us know everything. And that's why I constantly go to these self-help, self-help conferences and things like that, right? Because I'm always in learning mode. I'm always in student mode because I don't know everything, right? And so it's okay to say I don't know everything. The people that walk around like they know everything get nothing out of life. You'll see them 10 years later and they're in the same space because they hide behind looking like they know everything. You don't have to know everything. And as a matter of fact, you wasn't even born to know everything. That's why he's given all of us different dreams and callings and visions so that we can come together and help one another. Right? But if you don't show up in your brilliance, you're delaying somebody else. You might be delaying my help. I might need your gift. So I need you to show up in your brilliance. I need you to begin to create that exit, guys. Begin to create that exit strategy in your life. Begin to create that, guys. Hey, Madeline, thanks for joining us. And so Madeline says we need to always remain teachable. Yes, always remain teachable. Absolutely. I love it, Teresa. Teresa says she's an eternal learner. Me too, T. Absolutely. Like I can learn from anybody, lottie-dottie, anybody. And you don't even have to be technically teaching me. I can be in an environment, and if I see something or I hear something and it's something I can learn from, oh, I'm taking that with me and I'm running, right? But you have to surrender to that. You have to say, listen, I don't know. This is what I'm looking for, and then go get it. That's where the exit strategy comes in. You know that you're in a certain place right now, and you know where you want to be. So what's going to help you bridge that gap? Because that's what it is. It's a big gap. What's going to help you bridge that gap from where you are and where you want to be? That exit strategy will help you do that. You know that you've been in a place too long. You know that you haven't fully grown into the things of God like he told you you should. And it's time to bridge that gap, guys. It is. It's time to bridge that gap. You need to begin to connect with like minds. You need to begin to go to places where people that have what you want are there. You need to begin to make investments in you. Literally, because people have already did everything that you want to do. Listen, there is nothing new to be done. It's not. What's new is you. What's new is your character. What's new is your charisma, right? It is your anointing. That's what's new. But what you're called to do is not new, because God made that very clear. He said that I've already given you everything that pertains to life and godliness. So it's already done. He's not doing anything, but it's your ministry, right, that's missing. It's your personality that's missing. And so you need to begin to hang around like-minded people. And when I say hang around, I'm not talking about on the telephone, going out to eat and things like that. You've been doing that long enough. That's entertainment. I'm not in a place of entertainment anymore, right? I'm in a place of elevation. Right? And so you got to make those investments. You got to go to these conferences. You got to go and you got to go to these networking events and rub shoulders with people that are doing what you want to do. You got to get in the corridor, period. Literally. You got to get in the corridor. Because if not, you sitting at home, you're doing the same thing that you've been doing is going to get you the same results you've been getting. You got to get out of what you've been doing. Get out of the norm in order to go to your next. You have to, guys. You have to. And so this live was all about you creating an exit for your life, an exit strategy for your life. And it's continual, right? It's not something that you just do today and then that's it forever and ever. Amen. Absolutely not. It's continual, but you got to start the process in order for the process to start. I'm going to say that again. You got to start the process in order for the process to start. And what does that look like for you? It's completely different for everybody. It is. It's completely different for everybody. And so you have to participate in your own rescue. You do. You got to participate in the exit, right? Just like you know the blueprint of your home. You know that if a fire broke out and it was in the wee hours of the night, that you will be able to get out, right? Because you know the layout of your home. The same is so with your life, guys. You need to know the layout of your life. You need to know where you're supposed to be in 2019, in 2020, in 2021. You need to know the layout. You need to know the blueprint. You need to get familiar with the process. You got to get familiar with the process, guys. Literally. You got to get familiar with the process. Stop hanging out with good because good is no longer good enough. It ain't good enough. It's not good enough, guys. So you got to go to your great in order to get to your next. Stop hanging out with okay. Stop hanging out with mediocrity. Stop hanging out with, oh, this is what I've always done, right? No, that's a thing of the past. No longer hanging out with what's comfortable for you. Literally, you got to go and you got to grow. You got to go and you got to grow, guys. Literally. And so exit. Remember, exit, exit, exit. What's your exit strategy? It's a strategy, guys. It's a plan.